Welcome to 3Oul 3Isters. My name is Lorna Kasasa Jemima, and I'm so excited that you could join me today with our 3Oul sister who's going to tell us all about her biography, her childhood. But before we dive into that, I want to encourage you to please comment and share on all our different social media platforms: YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. I want to hear from you. We want to hear those comments, those views. And of course, do not forget that 3Oul 3Isters on all our social media platforms starts with a 3 and not an S. So please ensure to please comment. Would enjoy to hear from you. And I also want to thank Dotash Exclusive for hosting us as 3Oul 3Isters. It is a very beautiful place to come and shop for all your furniture. Very comfortable, very affordable. So please stop by at Dotash Exclusive here at Ginger Road. We're going to dive into our 3Oul sister today. You are most welcome.
Thank you.
Yes. Could you tell our viewers about yourself?
Thank you so much, Rona.
Yes.
About myself. My name is Ayebare Margaret Ayebare, and I'm the woman member of parliament representing the people of Mbarara district.
Yes.
I'm glad to be here in this program. About myself, I was born and raised in Mbarara district. I'm a daughter of late Canon Reverend Eliezer Ayebare and Gertrude Ayebare. I'm born in a big family of 11 siblings, 6 girls and 5 boys, of which the 5 boys still live and the 3 girls living. I've grown up in a religious family, if I may say, being a daughter of a Canon Reverend. But my childhood, if I would talk briefly about my childhood, I stayed much of my time with my late father. Being a Canon Reverend, a priest, he used to move in so many places, of which I was privileged to be one of the children that were selected to move around with him in all the parishes that he was serving God. So I went to so many primary schools, depending on how my father would be transferred from one place to another. But eventually, I came and sat my PLOE at Wengure Primary School in Kagonji Sub-County, Kashal North Constituency in Mbarara District. So from Wengure Primary School, I went to Chibubura Girls, which is in Ibanda, where I sat my O-level. Then later I joined Cheizova Girls, which is in Bushenyi District. Then after Cheizova, I went to Chambogo University, where I did my bachelor's in social work and social admin. Later, I went to Lund University in Malmö City, South Sweden, where I did my postgraduate diploma in sexual reproductive health and rights. And then later, I joined Makerere University, where I did my Master of Social Sector Planning and Management.
What position were you in that family? Were you the firstborn or the secondborn? And how was it growing up with so many siblings?
Being born in a big family is not, I would say, is not luxurious, because at that time, leave alone this time when the clergy, you see them, the reverends with collars in vehicles driving and all that. At that time, our late father's means of transport was a bicycle. At that time, were many. So being born in a big family means even the things, the welfare of the family was not that luxurious, because we were many and we had all to go to school because our father valued education so much. I'm the second last in girls, but the sixth in the line. I had big sisters that I had to look at, but I told you some of my sisters are not surviving anymore. So at a later stage in life, I found myself as a big girl in the house after losing all my big sisters, remaining with one who is at the top, our firstborn, and then the lastborn. But I want to thank God that later I have found that being born in a big family gives me a big social support, especially when it came to politics. At a certain point, when we're in politics, you find that almost every corner of your district is covered because you have a brother this side, you have a brother the other side, you have another one this side, and I have found out that it is to an advantage at a later hour when you have grown and you've studied and you've gotten jobs and you're somehow well off because of being many in a family. Yes.
That's amazing. So you told us that you moved a lot with your father because he was in the clergy. Could you tell us more about your mother? Was she a housewife? Did she have a job maybe?
My mother, I would say, was a typical housewife. Housewife in a way that she kept the home when my father used to move. I think by Church of Uganda protocol, every clergy, reverend, lay leaders, the bishops, you're supposed to be at the parish where you're deployed with your wife. But it was not that with my mother. Because of being a big family, my father could not pull all the 11 children to a house at a parish. So I think somewhere they agreed with my mother that my mother would stay at our farmhouse, and then my father would move alone with us children, a few of us. It used to be me, Margaret, and my brother Peter, who follows me, who used to move with my father. But later I remained alone because I cannot tell exactly why Peter pulled out to be back home where my mother was. But my mother stayed at home. She did a lot of work to support my father. Because at that time, the clergy did not used to get a lot of manners in salary. It was basically evangelical. When people were like, they were called to serve God. And I want to say this, that my mother was a pillar of our family. Things to do with disciplining children and raising them in the fear of God and taming them with, human manners. It was my mother. There was a lot of strictness when it came into her hands. You had to do what you're supposed to do. Waking up in the morning, you're not going to school before you do all the household chores. Yes. I'm proud of her that even now, I'm who I am because she nurtured us well.
You said she was a very strict lady.
Yeah.
Were you a troublesome child?
I was.
Really?
I was.
So you got many beatings all the time?
Very many. And I think it's one of the reasons that my father had to make me his handbag.
Yes.
I think he was like, this girl, if I leave her with a mother here, she might not be managed. First of all, I was not a dull child. No wonder I'm a politician. I was very, very stubborn. But I would also think that I was brilliant.
What are some of the reasons you got beatings? For example, is it because you refused to do housework? Were you bullying your siblings? What were some of the main reasons?
Beating came along with so many things. It was a result of so many things. One, refusing to do household work, not really refusing, but getting attracted to other things, playing. There was a time of matatu. These playing cards? At that time, they were at the peak. So they would send you for something, and then you find others who are playing marathon. You're like, let me play 1 or 2 games. And time catches you up. When my mother had sent you for something and you not delivered it, you're busy playing cards. She has sent you for fetching water, and instead of rushing to get water and you bring it back on time, you're busy playing. And another thing, maybe bullying others was also another area that I would get myself involved. Neighbors' children, you just pinch and they come and report you and you're beaten. It was an order of the day to be beaten, by the way. It's not like today when children cannot be, beaten. But I want to tell you that I picked it from my mother. My children know that you cannot go away without getting something to deal with you if you go wrong.
How was it, school life? Always moving. Did it ever unsettle you, or for you found it adventurous?
It was adventurous.
For you?
Yes, my father was a calm guy. Strict but calm. Being a clergy person, and I want to say that I picked so many traits from him. One, being a leader, I got it from my father. I learned to speak before public when I was very young, because he used to give me the chance to take up readings in the church. And I learned to stand before public and speak as young as P2, P3, P4. And he would encourage me. He would give me a reading to take up in the church. And I would say, you see, Tata, I cannot manage. And he would say, no, I will help you, giving me the encouragement. Standing before people and beginning to read, and I begin to stammer, I would turn and look at him, and he would give me the assurance. He would be like, no, like, you're doing it well. Keep it up. Another thing that I learned from my father is speaking the truth. I don't know how to lie. I'll speak the truth. You take it or leave it, but that is me. Another thing that I will say I'm proud of is that my father's name, the Rebiambu name that we are failing to pronounce, has done a lot for me. Even during campaigns, I would say that 50% of my votes were from my father's name. So right from my primary, my secondary, my A-level, throughout university, and throughout my education time, as a very good debater, some of the teachers that taught me in O-level, I'm proud to say that the Bishop of Ankole Diocese, Right Reverend Dr. Associate Professor Fred Mwesgwa, taught me in Chibubula Girls in my O-level. He can testify that I was a very good debater. Up to now, every time he finds me somewhere, he's like, no wonder you're in parliament. You began early.
How long were you? Because you said primary, you jumped a lot. How long, what is the longest you were in a school?
The longest, I think, would be like 2 years. We settled back to our home area, Bwengure, which is in Kagonji sub-county, as I said, in Kashal North constituency, in Mbarara district. When I came to primary 6, my father brought me back. I can't remember exactly the reasons of bringing me back, but somehow I think they wanted me to settle in primary 6 for my primary 7. So that is the longest I stayed in that school.
Didn't the constant moving create a gap with your relationship with your siblings?
Definitely it did.
Yes.
But I'm this kind of a person that you will not run away from. At any time I come back, I will definitely have to bond with you.
Yes.
Whether I want it or not, I'll make sure we bond again. So it somehow created it, of course, but every time I would come back, either for holidays or Christmas time, I would ensure we bond again.
So now we're going to jump into your secondary life.
Yeah.
Tell us how O-level was. After primary, you went to single-sex schools.
Both of them, even at O-level, even at A-level, it was a single-sex school.
Yes. Was there a reason for you going to a single-sex school?
At that time, most schools were single-sex schools in our region. I was a naughty girl. Secondary school, those I studied with, even up to now, when I meet them, they're like, you teased us. And because I had grown with my father, I was a father's girl, daddy's girl. And I would not show how naughty I am, because I know my father would not like it, to know that I have that kind of behavior. So I would tease you and then put myself aside as if I have not done anything to you. So even the headmistress knew me, knew that I was a naughty girl. One time she brought me to a class, before class, to let the class tell her whether it is me who is terrorizing the school, as in teasing. But I remember I stepped behind her and she was like in front of me. And then I told them, it will be like if you speak out that I'm teasing you, you'll suffer later. Yes. So all the girls of senior one had to keep quiet. And the headmistress was wondering, why are they not coming out to tell her that I'm teasing them during dormitory time or compound time or something. Yes. But eventually, she was like, if you cannot tell me that she's teasing you, then that means she does not tease you. But it was at that time that there was a lot of evangelism in school. We used to have people from Kampala who used to come to our school to speak about Jesus, to talk about salvation, to talk about what it is to be such a naughty girl in school. And somehow I dropped that. I think I was in senior 3. Yes. But the whole of senior 2, it was fire.
And senior 1.
It is at senior 2 when you have jumped out of senior 1 and you are also eager to do what the senior 2s have been doing to you when you're in senior 1. So my senior 2 was hell. My senior 2 was full of bad mannerism. Making others fetch water for you, making others, do everything for you. That kind of teasing, it was really not good. But at senior 3, even the books become a little bit tight, and you begin to know what really brought you to school, and became a good girl. And I don't think I have looked behind since that time. And sometimes when I'm addressing students at this age that I'm on as a leader, I tell them that whatever you're doing, I know. Even when I'm telling my own children, I'm like, ensure that you don't cross, because I know I was once there. So just to know that if you want to deceive me, I know when you're deceiving me, and I know when you're telling me the truth.
Now we're going to take a very short break. I still have a few questions. When after you grow up, after you decide that books are what brought me, I want to know how that experience was. But we're going to take a very, very short break. Please stay tuned. Welcome back. Thank you for staying tuned. At Super Soul Sisters, we have a very special Super Soul sister with us today, Honorable Margaret, who had a very naughty childhood, but in turn it shaped her to be the person that she is today. So you were telling us that after S3, you settled down, focused on your books. What were some of your favorite subjects?
Literature was my favorite subject. I even took it up and did it at A level. And I think it's one of the reasons why I can speak the way I speak.
Yes.
Yeah.
How was your academic performance before S3?
Surprisingly, I want to say that I was never diverted from academics. My academic line kept on, moving well. I've told you, I had time to bully, and then time to read my books, time to to consciously get back into your conscience and know that I came here to read. I was a medium girl towards, the highly performed girls.
That's interesting. So you never lacked school fees?
I never lacked school fees. I never lacked scholastic materials, though they would not be very enough, as I've told you that we were many, because at that time I had a sister in Cheizoba Girls, where I went for A-level. I had a sister there who was in O-level when I was in Chibubura for O-level. Unfortunately, she passed on as she had finished senior 6 when she had joined Bukalasa for agriculture diploma. She passed on. You'd go with, as a girl, with enough.
So A-level?
A-level, I changed the school.
Yes.
A-level, I changed from Chibubura Girls, which is in Nivanda district, and then went to Chizoba Girls, which is in Bushenyi district. My A-level was not really bad. I was doing leg, literature, economics, and geography. I told you I liked English.
Yes.
It was also a church-founded school, like Chububura was a church-founded school. I had my 2 years there. My parents were far from where I was, but originally, my parents migrated from Bushenyi to Mbarara. So I had a lot of relatives, both at my father's side and my mother's side. So when I went to Chizoba, I had a guardian, because of my parents being far and of course my father being a clergy who still had to move from one place to another. I was handed over to my maternal uncle, who became my guardian the other side. May his soul continue to rest in peace. He also rested, the late Canon Daniel Malanga, who happens to be a father to Honorable Michael Mawanda Maranga, MP Igara East. So even the leadership is within the family. Yes, and it was a retired head teacher, so he valued education also, and he would be on me also. You know, at A-level now, it's when you're looking at yourself as a grown-up girl, and you begin to search for beauty around you. So he was always there to make sure that I keep in the line.
What were some of the significant memories in your A-level?
The outings, I see it, they call them sosh these days. But mine, before the sosh could come in, you would look forward to a day when you'd go to Mbarara High School or Ntare School, especially debating time. I was good at debating, and I would look at a time when I would go to Mbarara High School and debate.
Show them.
And show them, show them that you're from Chizoba Girls, a little known school, but with people who can also debate with you.
You never took up any leadership roles?
In Chizoba, I never took A-level. No, I never took up any leadership.
How about O-level?
O-level, I was school games captain.
Yes.
Yes.
With your naughtiness?
Yes.
You never went to the same school with your siblings?
No.
It was just
No.
you?
When I went to Chizoba Girls, my sister, the one I follow, who was there, now crossed to Nganwa High School for A-level.
Yes.
So not at any one time did I have a sibling in one school.
Let's talk about your university.
Yes.
Where you went to Shambogo University.
Yes.
And it's a mixed school. It's a mixed setting. There is no one to tell you where to be, when to be. How was your university?
Now I'm going to take you to a diversion of my life.
Yeah.
Now, I did not go to university straight away. After my senior 6, there came in my husband now. Immediately after senior 6, someone looks at me and thought would marry me. Because I sat my exams, at that time we used to sit exams around March. And then you would wait for the whole year. Around that time, as I was finishing senior 6, someone spots me from Bushenyi, nearby the school. There was my cousin who was working with my late husband now. He had finished Makerere and went for military training. So when he was deployed at the airport at that time, he met my cousin and told my cousin that for him he was looking for a girl to marry. And then my cousin was like, I have my sister who is finishing senior 6, but who I don't know whether she can like you. Now, my husband comes to my school as I was sitting senior 6, as a normal person who had brought a letter from my cousin. So I read my cousin's letter, was happy. I saw the guy gives me money. Your cousin sent me with a letter and the money. So I got to know him from there. One thing led to another, and he decided to come to my home and ask for my hand in marriage, as young as I was.
Yes.
Now, there was a trick in there. He was traveling to Yugoslavia for further military training. Now, after seeing me and falling in love with me, he decides to go and, I don't know how, book me, like booking you.
Make a reservation.
Make a reservation with my parents.
Yes.
Now, we agreed that he comes, talks to my parents, as I continue with my studies, as he also goes for further military training.
How old were you then?
I was 21, because I remember I married when I was 22. Now, after he books me and he talks to my parents and he formalizes everything, now, I think some people told him that when you leave this girl, you'll not find her. He happens to be a brother to Honorable Miriam Matembe's husband. Now, my in-law, Mr. Matembe, convinces his brother that, you know what, if you leave this woman here, you will not find her. And Honorable Miriam Matembe happens to be coming from where I come from. Our parents studied together, they were friends. Now, you know, Miriam Matembe would not, you know, like support to marry a young girl as young as I was. But it was like, if it's her wish.
And she's okay with it?
She's okay with it, and we have talked to the parents. So I ended up getting married immediately after senior 6. Now, there comes in marriage life. I get married. I wedded immediately. Now my husband leaves me after wedding to go for his military training. After I had gotten pregnant, I think he left when I was like 2-3 months pregnant.
Did you know?
I knew I was pregnant, and he couldn't cross out the training because, you know, theirs is a command. It is like an order. So he had to go. It was a short course of about 6 months because he came back towards my giving birth to our firstborn. So that is where my education was put on shelf first.
Focus on your family now.
Focus on the family. Then now I give birth to our firstborn, Derek Kamugisha, and began looking after the baby. But he was there to take care of me, to provide for me, as a fishery married woman, as young as I was, I looked after the baby. But I still wanted to not to sit on my talent, not to sit on my dreams, not to sit on, yes, love was there. This is love, this is marriage, this is family, this is a child coming in. But my head kept alert that I needed to go back to school and study. I needed to get a job and work for my own, because I grew up as a person who needed to be myself, independent, economically independent, independent-minded, you know. And I want to say it here, and even to say it out to whoever is listening to me, that even if you marry, even if you're comfortable in any way, every woman would love to be economically independent. I think that's what makes you a valuable woman. Whether you're at village level, whether you're farming, you're digging your gardens and all that, you need to have your small money. Because at one time your mother will fall sick and needs help. It's not everything that you learn to tell your husband that I need this or that. So it kept ringing in my mind that even when I'm in a comfort zone, because I have a husband who loves me, I'm a young woman, still provides for me and is okay, I needed to be economically empowered.
Yes.
I needed to be economically independent. So around that time, I had to look for a job. When my baby was about 2-3 months.
Oh.
Did I get a job? I couldn't. 1 year, the baby is 1 year, the baby is 2 years, the baby is 3 years, no job. But there was this lady, Honorable former Minister Jode Kafura. I think she was former Minister of Agriculture and Fisheries. At that time, she was the administrator of Uganda Bureau of Statistics in Entebbe. That's where I was staying, because my husband was working at the airport at that time. So someone tells me she's the administrator there and she's from my home area in Kashari. So I went to her. I told her I needed a job. Remember, I've told you I used to be a sharp girl. I'm still a sharp young woman. So I went to her office. I told her, my name is so-and-so. I'm from this and this place. And now, when I mentioned my father's name, she got to know my father. In between us, there was one boy called, there were two. There was Robert and Kamukama. They are sons of the late Bunyevire in Bizwera Ruhunga, who were at that time staying in Entebbe also. They're the ones who told me about Joy. So they were like my bridge. In fact, I still want to say it, that those two boys helped me to connect to me, and that connection made me who I am today.
Wow.
And I want to say it that kindly don't and never, ever ignore whether a relative, whether a village mate, whether someone from your area, when you meet somewhere, whether in this country, in a place where both of you are foreigners, you may meet in Koboko, you may meet in Kapchorwa, but once you're from one place, kindly act as brothers and sisters. Because if I had not met those boys and we introduced one another, I've told you my father's name rings, and they got to know me, and I got to know them, and I took them as brothers, and then they took me to Honorable former Minister Joy Kafura, who gave me the first job in Uganda Bureau of Statistics. I don't think I would be who I am today. And Uganda Bureau of Statistics does a lot of things, correcting data, analyzing data, you know, things to do with data. I didn't know anything, but they used to train us. Now they train me. Before I got that job, I think you want me to give you the story.
Yes, of course. That's why I'm
Before I got that office job, Joy tells me there is a canteen here, but we do not have anyone to operate it. If you come and take up that canteen, you'll be near me. Outside there, I want to tell people, don't ignore any job. If I had not agreed to take up the canteen,
and you say it's about
I would not enter the office job. So I took up the canteen. Now, I would wake up very early in the morning, come to the canteen, prepare breakfast for officers. You understand? But I had employed about 3 girls who would help me to work together and then prepare. As you know how canteens of offices work. Now I begin getting money. You know, my intention was to be economically empowered. I get the money. But I used to look at those people in office and I was like, oh my God, how can I get there? There was a Mugisu guy, I don't remember well the name of it, he was called Wanyama, but those were Gisu names. He was the head of the computer department. Now, we made a deal. I would give him free food, he would teach me computer.
Yes.
By the time I got to know, I had learned how to use a computer. By the time I got to know, I went and told Joy that I now know the computer. Now, it was easy for her to get me the office job. Now
But
I
you
get
had
the
skills.
office job. I already had the skill. Entering office, we are trained. I began to move out to correct data in different parts of the country. Now, I work for Uganda Bureau of Statistics for over 15 years. From the other connection of the other boys,
the brothers.
I got inside, I was sharp enough, I learned things, I became a data collector, I become a data entrant, I become a field person, I become a field supervisor for the whole of Western region, I become a field editor, I did a lot of surveys, right from household surveys to demographic and house surveys to, teenager, surveys, all kind of surveys that Uganda Bureau of Statistics was carrying out as part of them for 15 years. In those 15 years, I'm producing other children.
Of course.
My second born came after 5 years. Simem Kama Damal came after 5 years. Nwahereza Denise came in after other 5 years. Now, because I was doing a lot of field work, and my husband was also working in different parts of the country, he was working under Internal Security Organization as DISO, eventually as RISO in the regions. So, we are looking for money. I would be going this side looking for money, he would be going this side looking for money. And I didn't find it so hard for me. Remember, I had grown up in a family where my father was looking for money and my mother was also staying home looking for money. After I had given birth to my third born, and I was growing up in career at Uganda Bureau of Statistics, now books brings me back.
Yes.
I remember one of my bosses, Mr. Mukuru Andrew, at that time he was the Director of Population and Social Statistics at Uganda Bureau of Statistics. He calls me to his office and tells me to go back to school. He was like, you're sharp, you're very knowledgeable, you have all it takes to be a leader here, but you don't have books. Remember, I'm still on my senior
certificates.
6, and then, all these other small
skills.
certificates, computer, but I did not have a degree. And I was like, Mr. Mukuru, I don't think I can go back to study because I have a family, we don't have money, children have gone back to school already. He was like, you have to go and study. Because every time we are in meetings where you do not sit, your name comes up for promotion, for this and that. But when we come back to your books, you don't have them. He opened my eyes. Now I go to Makerere. Remember, it's about 15 years after I had left school. My results cannot work unless I go back to senior 6. I decided to go and do mature entry exams. I did them in Makerere at the same time in Chambogo. At first I did them in Makerere. I failed them. When I went back to do them again, I found there some lady whom I did not know. She was from Kanungu district. We agreed that we do in Makerere and we also do in Chambogo. So we filled forms for Makerere and went and filled form for Chambogo. She was very good at mathematics. I was very good at English. Remember my literature background. Now she was like, I don't know English. You are going to teach me English as we do, you know, revision.
Yes.
I will teach you mathematics. Because mature entry exams, you first do aptitude, where there is mathematics and English, and then later you do your course paper.
Yes.
So we sit together. I taught her English, she taught me mathematics. We enter into the paper. I think she was an angel to me, and maybe I was also an angel to her. We sat papers in Makerere, we did them. We went to Chambogo. For her, she was a nurse, wanted to do medicine. Now we sat in Makerere together. We did papers for Makerere. When we went to Chambogo, she later found out that Chambogo did not have medicine.
Oh.
And when she raised up her arm in an exam, they told her the nearest course she can do is food and nutrition. I remember her picking her bags and watching, walking out of the examination room.
that.
I've never seen her again to date. That's when I realized that she had come to do for me mathematics, I do for her English as we were revising. Because later we kept on phone. She passed the exams for Makerere. I passed the ones for Chambogo. She joined Makerere. I joined Chambogo. We've never met again, up to date. So that's how I entered Chambogo University after 15 years of leaving school. Sat my exams.
Yes.
After 3 years, passed. I did social work and social admin.
Yeah.
At that time, I got pregnant with the fourth and the last baby. Passed with my second class upper at Chambogo University. Left Uganda Bureau of Statistics and joined Mulago Hospital. Immediately after I had secured my degree, I began to realize that here I could no longer fit at Uganda Bureau of Statistics because people who were being promoted were statisticians and demographers. And here I was a social worker. So I had to go and look for where my career would move. I joined Mulago Hospital, National STI Control Unit, under HIV programs, and immediately I was given a position of project supervisor. Remember, I had all the knowledge, I had all the experience of working with people. I had been to communities because of Uganda Bureau of Statistics, collecting data here and there, but I didn't have the papers. So it was only the paper that I did not have. Once I secured it, I went. I began to mingle with the who is who in Ministry of Health, and I was having a very good boss, Dr. Chamba De Peter. He still works in Mulago Hospital, STD unit. At that time, the head department was Dr. Kambugu and so many others that I worked with. Now, Dr. Chamba De gave me a lot of opportunities. He gave me a lot of assignments. Even what I did not know, he would encourage me to do. He would even chop a meeting intentionally so that I would be in a meeting and get to learn how to, present and all that. At that time, I got so many chances, even of traveling out. I was in India, was in South Africa, was in Zambia, into HIV programs. You understand? I would attend meetings in Nairobi. I got a lot of exposure. That's when I got a scholarship to go and study in Lund University in Malmö City in South Sweden, a postgraduate diploma in sexual reproductive health and rights under STD unit Mulago. Now, because I used to be with people presenting, one time I presented a paper and someone asked me, what did you master in? I didn't have masters. I remembered, now I think I need a master's degree. It was from that I decided to go to Makerere and begin on my master's degree in social sector planning and management. With my husband, my late husband, who passed on last year, after I had gotten into parliament, we had 4 children, 1 boy and 3 girls who are big. My firstborn is a lawyer with a master's degree in oil and gas laws. Currently, he's at LDC on a bar course. My second-born is a social worker like the mother. She's working with Afro Horn and our USAID project in Kororo. My third born is at Makerere University doing her degree first year in software engineering, and my baby, the last born, is in Gweranyanji Girls in Senior 1. So that is my family, and I'm here at Parliament.
Let's take a short break. Please stay tuned. Welcome back to Super Soul Sisters. I want to thank all of you who have been with us from the very beginning. Honorable here has had a very inspiring story. Truly, I've been inspired that you can still be naughty and, you know, come back to your roots and make a difference in the world. Honorable, we have heard about your marriage and how you later on came back to university. So would like to know what, you're working in Mulago, you've got so many opportunities. So what inspired you to switch to become an MP?
What inspired me to switch from the other side to politics? Yeah. I think I'm born a politician, yeah. But I was only waiting for the time to pour out my politics in me. But if I could go back exactly to what brought me to this side of politics is to speak for those who cannot speak for themselves, to hold those together who cannot hold themselves, and above it all, being a social worker. I had moved a lot during the time I was in Uganda Bureau of Statistics in so many villages in this country, especially the western region. I will begin from Kiriandongo up to Kisoro, all the districts in both southwestern and midwest. And I used to look at some of the things, how people live, you know, how women would suffer. You'd get into a household, you're interviewing a woman, simple things. And someone tells you, I cannot speak unless my husband gives me a chance. You know, so many things that made me think if I would go to Parliament and speak on behalf of these women. So the social work in me that I studied, that I practiced, compelled me to join politics. Because sometimes if there are people in Kanungu who are watching me or listening to me, there is one time I went to Kanungu district. I think at that time I was in Mulago and we were doing a round of HIV sensitization among people. I was sensitizing law enforcement officers because we were looking at how we can provide friendly services to people who are infected with HIV and those people who are in danger of getting HIV, most at risk populations. And I remember when I was sensitizing those law enforcement officers, one of them told me how there was a woman somewhere who was being, you know, overpowered by the in-laws. And because one of the in-laws was a police officer, so they were taking away her land and all that. And even before I became a member of Parliament, I got into her case. I even had to go to Chiburi, where the in-law was working. And I told him, and he asked me, you're speaking as who? I was like, as a Ugandan and a woman activist who is speaking on behalf of the other in-law of yours in Kanungu who cannot speak for herself. 3 days after, that gentleman called me and was like, you tell your client, he even called her my client, you call your client and tell her that I will never disturb her again. Let her take her land, but what I don't want her to disobey my father or whatever. They used to pile things on her that she was disobeying her father-in-law, after her husband had passed on. So I just felt like if I can do this, a mere me, without any authority or mandate of the people, how about if I would go solicit the mandate from people? Won't I speak for them? So there are some of those things that inspired me to go into politics. And thank God when I went to my people, I first contested in 2016 on men's seat. You can't believe. I went and
Very
stood
ambitious.
against men. And the men were like, you cannot leave your seat and come. They used it against me. But my people of Umbarara were like, we've seen you can manage. In fact, to be sincere, I was testing the waters of politics. So I saw they can be, hey, I was like, which means I can swim through. So my people were like, you go to your seat of women and come back, we shall give you. And when I went, oh my God, I was overwhelmed by the support. I won my opponent with over 25,000 votes difference. So I'm like, yes, I think I'm a politician. And I found myself in parliament, and that's where I am.
So could you give our dear ladies, women, young women who are out there, all around who are watching Super Soul Sisters, any advice, any encouragement that they can use?
There are one or two things I want to say. One, outside ladies who are watching me, one, you have to believe in yourself. Two, you have to love yourself. Three, you have to endeavor that you put yourself together economically. Whether little or whatever, but have what you call yours. Whether it is 10,000 in your pocket or on your phone, it is yours. It will keep your heart down. And support one another. Women who are outside there, if you move to another level, don't forget the woman that you've left behind. Always endeavor to go back and pull one or two women who will tomorrow pull others. Eventually, we will pull each other and be where we want to be. And lastly, women empowerment comes with responsibility. You're not going to say, I need to be empowered, I'm economically empowered, and you wait for your husband to give you money for your hair. And you think you're going to be empowered, come home midnight because you've been having a meeting and you cannot contribute on school fees for your children. Women economic empowerment comes with responsibility. If you take that, you will have helped me, you will have helped another woman. I thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, our viewers who have stayed tuned. Truly, it has been a very inspiring story, and I hope that you've picked one or two, a few things that could help you in your journey. Until next time, please stay tuned. Have a blessed evening.